In some point in time, has your favourite painting been Botticelli's Birth of Venus? If not yours, someone you know's? And with good reason. The painting is near flawless to look at, and we have the entrancing and sumptuous Venus to thank for that, crafted by the expert hands of Sandro Botticelli. Delicate features, forlorn eyes, which are unconfronting. Is a beautiful woman still the unrivaled drawer of the human eye to an image? The Birth of Venus is a very flat painting, despite the expanse of sea and rolling hills behind the figures, which you would think would provide plenty of perspective. It's almost as if we're looking at a Looney Tunes sketch. The figures are entirely separate from the environment they inhabit. We see Zephyr and Aura, two winds who blow Venus to land. A woman speculated to be the Hora of spring awaits on land to cloak Venus in a robe adorned in flowers. The flat and geometric setting allows for the soft curves of Venus's body to wow, as well as her flowing hair and the billowing drapery of the other figures. There is a self-aware lack of reality to Botticelli, which embraces an almost cartoon-like appearance to his faces, which have an instantly recognisable style. Their faces are moulded calligraphically as if still in the stages of a sketch. There are no real shadows to the figures, though this does don them with a kind of godly presence. We could blame the level of skill of the Renaissance artists if we wanted, but for reference, Botticelli was a contemporary of Dürer and Da Vinci's, whose faces are almost unclockably accurate to real life in their modelling. But judging by those who have queued to see the painting in Florence's Uffizi, you know who you are. This work here remains one of the most beloved masterpieces of all time. Who needs realism anyway? We can focus in on the bizarrely tiny uniform waves of the surrounding sea. Essentially a series of V's, like David Hockney's flat pop-art sprinkler paintings decades later. This ocean poses no threat, as was sometimes the depiction of the seas during this period. The breeze from Zephyr and Aura is a gentle gust. In the realm of perfection, we would have the utmost beautiful, being surrounded by all things calm in nature, would we not? Venus comes to act as a figure of fantasy onto which we can project our desires. The last stanza of poet duo Michael Field's poem, The Birth of Venus, reads, "She who treads the rocking shell, tearful shadow in her eyes, of reluctant sympathies, on her mouth a pause, a spell. Candour far too lone to speak, and no knowledge on her brows, virgin stranger come to seek, covert of strong orange boughs. By the sea winds scarcely moved, she is love that hath not loved." These lines hone in on the particular draw of Venus in this scene, compared with other instances we have encountered her in. She is newly born, therefore a virgin. She bears all for all to see and admire her, front on as if ready to be loved by whoever wishes to. Her neck tilts unnaturally, and though she faces our direction, her eyes are ever so slightly off to the side, thus presenting a further innocence, as if the viewer is the voyeur. Reflective of the classical subject, Venus poses like many of the great sculptures of classical antiquity, hiding her modesty, again appearing caught in the viewer's gaze. Her flaxen hair and flowing tendrils, blown by the light breeze, is gilt in gold, donning her with a divine glimmer, extraordinary to the surrounding figures. She stands in a shell like a perfectly formed pearl, fitting for the goddess of beauty. As the story goes, she is birthed after the Titan Cronus castrates Uranus, god of sea and sky, whose severed genitals fall and then fertilize the sea. Venus emerges from the water at the Bay of Paphos in Cyprus. To insert a brief context for the painting, the work was commissioned by a member of the Medici family, one of Italy's most influential families during the Renaissance, who were known supporters of the arts. The Renaissance saw a revolution in knowledge. The Copernican turn took place thanks to Copernicus, and Galileo, as it was discovered for the first time that Earth was not in fact the centre of the universe. In art, Leonardo da Vinci transferred the use of the camera obscura from science to art, in turn bringing realism to the table in art in a new big way. Another aspect which aided this was Jan van Eyck's writing of a popular formula for oil paint, which saw new heights of control of the painterly medium achieved. The times were exciting in Europe. New territory was ripe to be explored, and we can see the birth of Venus here as allegory of greener intellectual pastures, leaving the dark ages behind. Botticelli may not have been a master of realism, but that was never his focus. This painting attests to his triumph in combining varying unrealistic pictorial elements to achieve new heights of beauty all across the composition. It is for this reason I have titled this Botticelli series The Beautiful Peculiar. Since this painting graced the earth in 1485-6, a new glorified attitude has been taken to the female body. Here she is the site of perfection, the centerpiece. Equally, she is placed on such a pedestal for her beauty alone. As mentioned earlier, her expression comes across as vacant. Her head is cocked not in pensiveness, but rather so as she appears supine. There is more an appreciation for her matter over her mind, and it is the male gaze which permits her superiority rather than Venus herself. This work, however, is a masterclass in compositional beauty. Few paintings have come near its tranquil grace. Considering this work is regarded so highly across history and across the world, does the overglorification of the female body problematize the viewing of this painting? The discourse is endless.